In the bustling restaurant, John Smith's friends were gathered around him, showering him with compliments.
Mr. Smith, your business is booming, your wife is understanding, and you have a close confidant. You're one lucky man.
Indeed. Mr. Smith, you're young and promising. Unlike us.
At home, you have a considerate wife taking care of the elders, and outside, you have a close friend looking after you. It's enviable.
My wife, Sarah, is indeed very compliant and doesn't spend my money. She didn't even ask for a dowry when we got married.
I don't care about your money, as long as I can stay by your side.
Not spending money already sets her apart from 99% of the girls.
Keep your mouths shut. If I find out anyone tells Sarah, don't blame me for being rude.
That scoundrel, using my sister's money to support his mistress. One day, I'll make sure he pays for it. I listened to their conversation about my twin sister, Sarah Green, from a corner not far away.
My name is Kate Brown, and Sarah Green is my twin sister. We grew up in an orphanage until we were adopted by a couple from abroad. We reunited not long ago. But she fell ill due to Emily Johnson's provocation, and I decided to take on my sister's role to reclaim everything that belonged to her.
I found a secluded corner and called my husband, John Smith.
Honey, where are you now?
I just finished signing a contract and ran into some friends, so we decided to have a meal together at our usual place.
I'm nearby, and I want to see you.
When I entered the restaurant again, I pretended to be surprised.
Emily Johnson is here too.
Sister-in-law, I haven't eaten yet, so I came to join you.
At this moment, John Smith pulled out the chair next to him for me and helped me sit down. He skillfully served me some food, and as I picked it up, I pretended to feel nauseous.
Are you all right, Sarah?
John Smith patted my back, and I gently wiped my mouth with a napkin.
Sister-in-law, is your stomach upset? I feel the same way when my stomach is upset.
Emily, it's different for me. I have a little one in my belly, and my husband was too worried about me to tell everyone.
Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a flash of jealousy on Emily Johnson's face. Everyone started congratulating John Smith.
Congratulations, Mr. Smith. The child in your wife's belly will surely be extraordinary.
Yes, being born into Mr. Smith's family is a great blessing.
When the time comes, you must invite us for a celebration.
After everyone finished congratulating, I pretended to complain to John Smith.
You almost have a child, and Emily still doesn't have a partner. You shouldn't overwork her, personal matters need to be resolved too. Don't you agree?
Yes, my wife is always right.
It's hard for a young girl like you to find a partner if you keep hanging out with these guys. Michael Davis, one of John's good friends, is still single. Why don't you consider him?
I thought, let's see how the scoundrel feels about his mistress getting involved with his friend.
Thank you for your concern, sister-in-law, but I have a boyfriend.
Then bring him over sometime so I can check him out. Some men are two-faced, you know? Right, honey?
If you keep focusing on others, I'll get jealous.
You two are always showing off your love, making us feel left out.
I touched my still flat belly.
The baby must be tired. You all continue chatting, I'll go home and wait for you.
To avoid sleeping together and being discovered, I pretended to be pregnant. Today, I deliberately put on this act to provoke Emily Johnson. My goal was achieved. I saw the jealousy and hatred in Emily Johnson's eyes. It was time to make my exit. I left, waiting for the next act to unfold. After a while, I heard a coquettish voice through my earpiece.
John, can you come home later tonight? I'm feeling down.
No, you know I can't come home late. Don't be unreasonable.
Then can we find a nearby hotel and spend some time together?
I followed in my car as John Smith's car stopped at a hotel parking lot. The two of them walked in together. It seemed my deliberate provocation had worked. I turned and went into a nearby hot pot restaurant. In the hot pot restaurant, I ordered my sister's favorite food. I read Anna's diary that I found at home. I thought if she saw this scene now, she would be heartbroken. Fortunately, it was me going through all this, and I would make sure to return the pain to this unfaithful couple tenfold. The diary began with the early days of their relationship. From warming Anna's hands in the cold winter, feeding her medicine when she was sick, to even crying because he couldn't provide her with a better life. They say once people get something, they forget the feeling of longing for it. How true that is. The sound in the headphones interrupted my thoughts.
Ms. Taylor, Mr. Smith, went into the room, but he was with a man in a suit, not a woman.
This was a private detective I hired to capture evidence of John Smith's infidelity. But now there was an unexpected twist. This was a hotel John Smith frequented, and by his habits, he should have brought Emily Johnson here. Where did the problem lie?
I called the person I had bribed in the hotel's surveillance room. John Smith was indeed cautious, even in his indiscretions. The woman is in the room at the far end of the top floor. Go to that floor and wait.
As expected, after a while, I received photos of them kissing with the door left ajar. While eating hot pot, I called to report John Smith for inappropriate conduct at the hotel. Then I sent all the photos to the paparazzi. I also sent a copy to her boyfriend. I found out she hadn't broken up when she got involved in Anna's marriage, probably a serial cheater. I didn't care how her boyfriend handled it. I went home and threw my phone. Then I picked up another phone to check the results of my plan. Sure enough, after hiring some online influencers, the photos of him and his mistress quickly went viral. At that moment, he was still at the police station, unable to take down the trending topic. I waited for the company's stock to fluctuate before making my move. Feeling pleased, I ordered a table full of takeout, then plated it nicely, waiting for John Smith to come home. In the dark night, the wind howled outside, as if condemning the unfaithful man. In the middle of the night, the door opened, and John Smith walked in, wearing a slightly wrinkled suit, looking exhausted. I got up from the sofa and quickly walked over, speaking before he could say anything.
Honey, I accidentally broke my phone today. I tried calling you on the landline, but you didn't answer. Is everything okay?
I pretended to know nothing, pointing to the broken phone, then added with a worried expression. I was quite the actress, having studied drama abroad. He went from not knowing what to say to patting my head.
Don't worry, it's company business. I'll handle it.
Acting, keep acting. Indeed, men are easily fooled. I reheated the takeout and called him downstairs to eat. We had dinner together, and as I put some cilantro in my mouth, he looked at me in surprise.
Sarah, you're allergic to cilantro.
A warning signal flashed in my mind. I quickly ran to the bathroom, making retching sounds. I walked out of the restroom, deliberately showing the red spots on my arm. I had learned some special effects makeup skills when I was an actor, and these allergy-like red spots looked very real.
It's all your fault for making me worry so much. I couldn't even focus on eating.
Sure enough, many men fall for this act.
It's all my fault. I promise I won't make you worry next time. Let me take you to the hospital.
No need, I've eaten very little, and I can't take medicine now that I'm expecting.
I hate to see you suffer.
Just then, his phone rang. He quickly hung up, but I saw it was Emily Johnson calling.
Why didn't you answer the phone?
It's just some company issues. I'd rather stay with you. Nothing in this world is more important than you.
You're so slick. You should compete with the king of slickness to see who's worse.
You need to earn money for the baby's formula. I don't want to be a burden to you.
I felt my brain swelling with acting skills. I couldn't believe I could say such things to a jerk. The phone rang again, and I urged him to handle his company matters. I couldn't keep up the act any longer. Before leaving, he repeatedly told me not to go out and made up a story.
A recently fired employee is causing trouble at the company, so you should stay home. I'll get you a new phone in a few days, as the landline at home has just been damaged by the wind.
In reality, he was afraid I'd find out about his affair. With his means, he could erase all the information online. To him, Sarah Green was now a full-time housewife with no social circle, revolving only around him. But the person in front of him now wasn't the sister who gave up her figure skating career for him and only had eyes for him. Tonight, I needed to rest well. Acting with him had drained my energy. Tomorrow, I had a tough battle ahead. This was just my first step. The next morning, seeing that he hadn't come home last night, I went to the bathroom and took out the hidden phone. I searched for news about his infidelity, but he had handled it quickly, and there was no information to be found. However, his company was still affected, and the stock price began to drop. I couldn't help but smile.
Now it was up to his assistant, David Wilson, to see if John Smith would propose a divorce. I just needed to wait at home quietly, watching the shareholders put pressure on him, waiting for the company's shares to fall into my hands.
A few days later, he seemed to be really out of options. At home, I prepared steak and red wine, creating a romantic atmosphere. Swirling the wine glass, he expressed his affection for me, setting the stage for everything.
Sarah, my company is facing some issues recently, and I need your help to resolve them.
You know I'd do anything for you. Sincerely.
Let's have a fake divorce. We'll put the money and company shares in your name. I'll still make the decisions for the company, and once it's stable, we'll remarry immediately. Holding her hand.
Aren't you afraid I'll run away with the money?
You still have my child in your belly. Where do you think you can run? Confidently.
Yes, the leverage David Wilson used to persuade him, besides my sister's love for him, was the child in my belly. However, he would never imagine that there was indeed an unborn child. On the day Emily Johnson found my sister, she lost the baby. She told my sister that John Smith had done everything for her that he had done for my sister.
Then you must remarry me as soon as possible. Thinking, just wait, I'll make sure you end up with nothing.
The divorce certificate was quickly processed, and all assets were transferred to my name. But how could I stop there? I needed to accelerate my plan because there was still one very important thing waiting for me to do. A few days later, Emily Johnson somehow found out about my divorce from John Smith and asked to meet me at a cafe. I expected to see a manipulative woman revealing her true colors. Instead, I saw a woman wearing sunglasses, with bruises on her arms, and a face full of resentment.
Did you tell my ex-boyfriend about me and him?
Ex-boyfriend? Wasn't he your boyfriend at that time? He said you were being unfaithful.
No way, being unfaithful and a mistress so brazenly.
The surrounding patrons began to murmur.
So young and already a mistress. How shameless.
The world is really going downhill. If my child did that, I'd be furious.
Look at the bruises on her. Maybe her family punished her. Serves her right.
Hearing the murmurs, Emily Johnson's face turned red with embarrassment.
Now that you two are divorced, in ancient times, you'd be a discarded woman, second-hand goods. Let's see who wants you now.
Listening to her insults, I picked up my coffee and threw it in her face. She immediately took off her sunglasses to wipe her face, revealing her bruised eyes.
See, I was right. She got punished for being unfaithful.
Anyone who does that should expect the consequences. Being a mistress isn't easy.
People like her should be punished, playing with others' feelings and destroying families.
Seeing Emily Johnson trying to escape, I grabbed her hand and whispered in her ear. Get ready to return every penny my ex-husband spent on you because I will use the law to get it all back. You won't get a cent from him. Afterwards, I left, leaving her to face the world's judgment on her moral failings. I arrived at the hospital room to visit my sick sister, Sarah Green. Lying in the hospital bed, her face was still pale, dressed in loose hospital clothes, her frail body looking like it could be blown away by a gust of wind. Inside, David Wilson was peeling an apple, trying to cheer her up. I pushed the door open and sat by my sister's bed, holding her hand. Sis, whose apple tastes better, mine or David's? I teased.
You can peel apples for me for a lifetime. If I come out of the operating room alive, I'll cling to you forever.
I felt tears welling up but held them back. I can do that, but I'm afraid someone else might not like it. I glanced at David.
My apple peeling isn't bad, right?
Internally, I applauded him. Well done, young man, bold and full of energy. We discussed my sister's treatment plan together, telling her that she could have a kidney transplant soon. But we didn't tell her that the donor was me. After arranging everything, I prepared to go home and fight another battle. But I didn't expect to run into John Smith and Emily Johnson at the hospital, seeing a doctor. They saw me too. To avoid John Smith discovering Anna and disturbing her, I had to keep up the act. Perhaps fearing I might misunderstand, he immediately pushed away Emily Johnson, who was leaning on him.
Honey, is your stomach upset? Why are you at the hospital?
He looked concerned, maybe for his imaginary child.
It's not me, your sister has a skin allergy, and I came to the hospital to get her medicine.
John Smith knew that his mother and his sister often made me do chores, so he didn't suspect anything.
What's wrong with Emily? She looks like she's been hurt.
Emily Johnson's furious eyes were almost boring a hole through me. Only I could see all this.
She was attacked by a mentally unstable person yesterday. She's all alone out there, so I brought her to the hospital.
It seemed both Emily Johnson and I knew the truth, but John Smith was still in the dark. I couldn't wait for the day he found out the truth.
You should accompany Emily for her checkup. She's all alone here and doesn't have anyone to take care of her.
In my mind, I thought, idiot, my sister did so much for you, and you never considered she was also alone and helpless.
I need to hurry and get the ointment to your sister. She'll be upset if I'm late.
When I got home, I found two people sitting in the living room, John Smith's mother and his sister. I guessed they had come to trouble me after hearing that all the assets had been transferred to my name, a piece of information I had intentionally let slip.
You good for nothing, give back my son's property immediately.
That's our family's money. Give it back, or I'll make you regret it.
I wasn't going to indulge them. They had bullied my sister, and now it was time for payback.
You two are the real good-for-nothings. One of you is as fat as a pig and dresses like a country bumpkin, always comparing yourself to wealthy ladies. What do you have to compare? Take a good look at yourself.
You.
Perhaps his mother didn't expect me to retort so sharply, and she was left speechless.
And you, always obsessed with romance, pampering your boy toy while treating me with your spoiled attitude. But you grovel to him. Is your brain filled with water?
His sister, enraged, lunged at me, but I deftly dodged. As a professional actor, I had practiced martial arts moves over the years. His sister fell flat on her face, and his mother quickly helped her up. Unexpectedly, she turned and went to the kitchen, coming back with a knife. I left, waiting for the next act to unfold. After a while, I heard a coquettish voice through my earpiece.
John, can you come home later tonight? I'm feeling down.
No, you know I can't come home late. Don't be unreasonable.
Then can we find a nearby hotel and spend some time together?
I followed in my car as John Smith's car stopped at a hotel parking lot. The two of them walked in together. It seemed my deliberate provocation had worked. I turned and went into a nearby hot pot restaurant. In the hot pot restaurant, I ordered my sister's favorite food.
A family? I remember we got divorced.
John Smith was also surprised by my attitude.
It was a fake divorce, Sarah. Don't make a scene.
A fake divorce? That's not respecting our country's laws. I'm a law-abiding citizen.
Sarah, I know you're angry. You've been through a lot these years. After we remarry, we won't let them come to our house anymore. And you have a baby on the way. It's not good for the child to be raised by a single parent.
Wow, John Smith, you could be an actor with those skills. Not only did he want to remarry to seize the assets, but he also wanted to use the child to morally manipulate me.
Nowadays, single parenting is said to be quite good. I want to try that life. But unfortunately, my flat little waist has no baby in it anymore.
What do you mean? What happened to the baby?
Emily Johnson came to see me. She told me about all the disgusting things you two did. Under her provocation, the baby was lost.
I could see the panic in his eyes, realizing he was losing his grip on his bargaining chip.
Back then, when you had no money to start your business, I gave you all the prize money from my athletic career to support you. I endured your mother's and sister's unreasonable demands. For you, I gave up my beloved figure skating and treated you as my only family. And how did you repay me? You took Emily Johnson to hotels, spent our joint assets on her, and let your mother and sister bully me. You really know how to love someone.
Maybe I was too immersed in Anna's role, feeling a pang of heartache. Not for the scumbag, but imagining how painful it must have been for Anna to face the disgusting behavior of the man she once loved.
I'm sorry.
With a thud, John Smith knelt down. His mother pulled him up.
She's just a little tramp. Mom will find you someone better.
Shut up.
Sarah, it's all my fault. Give me another chance. We can have more children in the future. I was just playing around with Emily Johnson. She reminded me of the younger you. I only felt a temporary thrill with her. I love you. I'll definitely cut ties with her.
He tried to grab my hand, but I deftly avoided him.
Don't you have another child?
Seeing his surprised expression, I reminded him.
Remember when I saw you taking her to the hospital for a checkup? Didn't you go to the maternity department later?
He probably didn't expect me to follow him.
Don't worry, as long as you're willing to forgive me, I'll ask Emily Johnson to terminate the pregnancy. She won't come between us.
That won't do. That's my first grandchild.
Mom, don't say anything. Sarah, don't listen to Mom. I won't let this bother you. I'll make it up to you for everything I've owed you.
I watched his performance quietly, unmoved.
I don't want to.
John Smith really had some nerve. Why did he think he could hurt someone and then just say sorry, make empty promises, and expect them to accept it?
From now on, you and I will go our separate ways. Don't ever see me again, don't disturb me, and don't say you love me. Don't tarnish what we once had.
I turned to leave, and John Smith immediately stood up and grabbed me.
Don't regret this. As an orphan, how will you survive without me? Wouldn't it be better to rely on me?
I slapped him, and he was stunned for a moment.
I knew you were a jerk, but I didn't expect you to be this low. You knew I felt insecure about being an orphan, yet you used my background to hurt me. Are you even human?
That's not what I meant.
I don't care what you meant. I only know that I won't let anyone who hurts me get away with it.
At this moment, David Wilson walked into the police station. I could handle them on my own, but I wanted them to see their precious company fall into someone else's hands. I took a document from my bag and handed it to David Wilson.
This is the company's equity transfer agreement. How about I sell it to you?
David, do you dare?
Of course I dare. John, you probably don't know, but I have my own company, and it's far surpassed yours over the years. I stayed in your company just to see Sarah happy. Since you can't give her that, I will.
Hearing this, John Smith swung a punch at David Wilson, who deftly dodged and countered with a punch of his own. The police quickly intervened and separated them. Taking advantage of the situation, I pulled out another piece of evidence from my bag. The next day, I approached the police station with a determined look. Here is the evidence of John Smith's tax evasion. As a responsible citizen, I am reporting it. John Smith's mother started yelling like a shrew. He stared at me, unable to believe I had gone this far. David Wilson and I turned to leave. There was still one important matter to address. That was the kidney transplant surgery between Anna and me. I left the rest to David Wilson. Everything went smoothly, and Anna's body showed no signs of rejection. However, Anna found out I had been missing for several days and forced David Wilson to reveal that I had donated my kidney to her. I was in the hospital room reading news about John Smith. His fair-weather friends had abandoned him, he was imprisoned for not being able to pay his back taxes, and his sister was also punished by the law for attempted murder. It was truly satisfying. In my excitement, I accidentally touched my wound. At that moment, David Wilson pushed Anna, who was in a wheelchair, into the room.
You found out.
I looked at Anna's swollen eyes. She held my hand and touched my head.
I'm the older sister, yet you took on all this for me.
Tears streamed down her face.
Because we're family. From now on, I'm sticking with you.
I said, playfully. David Wilson interrupted our tearful embrace.
I have news for you too. I've sued to recover the money John Smith spent on Emily Johnson. What do you want to do with it?
Donate it to the orphanage.
Her expression was calm as if she had let it all go. But I knew the scars in her heart would be hard to erase.
Emily Johnson's child was also lost. Apparently, a man she once seduced found her at her company, grabbed her hair, and scratched her face. The child was lost out of fright.
Even fate couldn't stand it. Truly, what goes around comes around.
After we recovered, I entered the entertainment industry and became an actress, while Anna became my assistant. After years of honing my acting skills, I rose to fame with a film about domestic violence and won a prestigious acting award. But after receiving the award, I trended not for my win, but for Kate Brown's marriage and Kate Brown's divorce. Fans of the other actress started causing trouble, mocking me on my social media.
Your single persona is ruined, ha ha ha.
Give the award back to our Anna, you don't deserve it.
How can a divorced person have the right to win an award? Go home and retire.
However, within minutes, my fans had retaliated, forcing them to delete their comments. They say fans follow their idol's lead, and mine were ruthless. Soon, they took the fight to the other actress's social media. The company's PR department found out that it was the other nominee for Best Actress who, out of jealousy, had contacted John Smith and leaked my marriage and divorce. I instructed the staff to preserve the evidence immediately, planning to sue them all to show that spreading false rumors has consequences. But then Anna issued a statement, revealing that it was she who had gotten married and divorced, and explained the betrayal she had experienced. The comments below were sympathetic.
Hugs for Anna. We feel for you. You're too kind, and that's why you were deceived.
Anna, your sister is so cool. I want to be friends with her.
Anna, don't worry. That awful man will get what he deserves.
Among these supportive comments, a special one stood out. People noticed that David Wilson, a rising star in the industry, had commented,
"Your kindness is admirable, and your bravery even more so."
Curious netizens dug up photos of Anna and David Wilson dining together. Seeing the handsome man and beautiful woman, especially with the recent trend of older woman-younger man relationships, they quickly started shipping them as a couple. They completely ignored me, who was also at the dinner. This time, I didn't need to protect Anna, she could speak up for herself and for me. But I never expected John Smith to go to such lengths as to kidnap Anna and me. This time, he could tell the difference between me and Anna. He had us tied up in an abandoned factory. Once, he wore high-end suits, now, he was in a delivery uniform, his hair disheveled.
It's all your fault, pretending to be your sister to deceive me.
His eyes were filled with malice as he gripped my neck.
Let her go! If you have any issues, deal with me.
I won't let you go either. You and David Wilson dared to be together. You betrayed me.
As if forgetting he was the one who had been unfaithful.
Let's see if David Wilson is willing to kneel for you, to sacrifice his life for you.
He dialed a number.
Sarah Green is with me. Bring 30 million to the address I sent you. Don't call the police, or I'll harm them both.
He hung up the phone. Knowing his motive was money, I felt somewhat relieved. At least there was no immediate danger to our lives. I gave Anna a look, signaling her to distract John Smith.
Do you remember when you started your business and had no money? I gave you all my prize money to support you.
John Smith gradually calmed down, saying nothing.
Do you really think an athlete's prize money could be that much?
John Smith looked up, waiting for Anna to continue.
I traded my sports career for that money. I was doing well at the time. My competitor bought me out with that money, and I could never compete in figure skating again. To protect your fragile ego, I told you it was to better take care of the family.
She revealed her own scars to confront him. While they were talking, I had already untied the ropes on my hands and slowly reached for an iron rod, hiding it behind me.
I wronged you.
He stared at the ground.
But there's no turning back for me now.
Seizing the moment while he was lost in thought, I swiftly ran towards John Smith and struck him on the head.
You!
He muttered before collapsing to the ground. To ensure he wouldn't wake up soon, I struck him again and tied him up. Just as I was untying Anna, David Wilson kicked open the iron door with money in hand.
Anna, are you hurt?
He paused upon seeing John Smith tied up, then rushed to Anna, anxiously checking if she was hurt. I felt like a third wheel. We handed John Smith over to the police, hoping never to see him again. Later, I sued the rumor mongers and the masterminds behind them, delivering legal notices to their hands. My rivals didn't expect that their attempts to smear me would backfire so spectacularly. It was revealed that they often targeted other celebrities, especially minor ones. Bystanders mocked my rival's star for their downfall. Someone online exposed my kidnapping incident, and I thought I would receive sympathy and concern. Unexpectedly, the focus was on a female star bravely fights off kidnappers and ties them up. People speculated whether I knew martial arts, and the rumors grew wilder, claiming I grew up in a Shaolin temple. Requests poured in for me to teach self-defense, sparking the Women Empowerment Challenge online, with girls starting to strengthen themselves for protection. Through the smear incident and the kidnapping, netizens began to promote me voluntarily, admiring my fierce style. My fans became renowned for their fighting spirit, especially in defending against slander. Other fan groups sought help from my fans when facing injustice, and my fans would step in to support them. Sometimes I worried that if I ever left the industry, my fans might become unstoppable. After a series of uncontrollable events, even more outrageous things happened. An award-winning actor confessed his feelings for me on my social media.
Anna, I have feelings for you.
A popular young actor followed suit.
Anna, me too.
Co-stars joined the fray.
Who wouldn't love such a fierce beauty?
My social media exploded. Taking advantage of the buzz, I quickly posted several advertisement endorsements. I also tagged a few renowned directors I wanted to work with.
I'm focused on my career. Directors, please consider me.
My dedication paid off, earning recognition from advertisers and directors. International luxury brands approached me for endorsements, and I made a fortune. Famous directors offered me scripts, and I won several awards. The public's discerning eyes began to value acting skills over mere looks. I didn't disappoint myself or my fans, cutting ties with anyone hindering my career. In such a tough job market, when someone offered to support me if I gave up my passion, I could only say,
Your promises won't sustain me.
Sweet love is wonderful, but the novelty in most relationships has an expiration date. I am clear-headed enough to know that while I can't be sure how long others will love me, I am certain I will love myself for a very long time.